Welcome to Repum Group's Item 24, where we take you a step beyond the standard FDD. We asked ourselves, why stop at 23 items when some of the most important insights live beyond the page? Here we're breaking down the inner workings of franchising and sharing real-life strategies and stories that drive the industry forward. Welcome back to another series of Item 24, where I'm going to talk about a buzzword that has been going around for the last couple of years in franchising, which is responsible franchising. And I was so excited to be able to talk about this topic today because I think there's so many different opinions on what that means. And reality is, I've been in franchising for over 15 years. And I think responsible franchising is something that is in you or isn't in you. And what I mean by that is, when you think about what responsibility means in general and the definition of it, it really comes down to being someone who's responsible for their actions, responsible for what they're doing. And in franchising, in particular, if you're a franchisor, it's responsible for being a franchisor to your franchisees. And so when I think about what that means, it means first and foremost, just doing the right thing by your owners. And what I mean by that is think about if you are a franchisor, everyone has contracts. But what I have always found is if you manage it by not the contract, but you manage it by the relationship, and it's relationship-based franchising, which is what we preach at Repum, that's really where it all starts, because the foundation of good relationships is to actually have a good relationship, not something that's managed by a contract that feels like this is just a transaction. And so, in my opinion, the foundation starts there. But what really comes down to is no matter what you do, when you think about franchising in general, it's been around, as I've said before, well over 60 years now. But in my world of franchising, which is mostly home service brands, and then we do a lot of wellness brands, fitness brands, really non-food franchises. We have a couple of them in that space. But when you think about that sector, it's grown substantially over the last decade. And while that means more sophistication has been brought into franchising, it also means there's more opportunity for bad actors to come out of the woodwork. While there's been a lot of great investment in our sector of franchising over the last decade, a lot of private equity has come into the business. It's brought a lot of infrastructure. It's brought a lot of sophistication to who's involved in franchising. But with growth, there's also creates bad actors. While there's good actors, there's also bad actors. And those few bad actors that come out of it sometimes create more waves for the industry than needed. But we have to regulate that, right? We have to make sure that we stay within the guidelines of what we need to do as a franchisor and as a system. And what I found is the most important thing is making sure that ultimately, when it comes down to it, any decision you make, you have to think of the franchisee first. As I said earlier, that is the most important thing. And I think when franchisors in general make those decisions, vendors like ourselves who are an agency-based business will wind up being better off as a result of it. When franchisors make decisions that are not good for the franchisees and ultimately become selfish or they become, greedy when it comes to the agreements, that's when you start seeing problems arise, right? I think the other thing too is it's easy to see like there's a lot of franchise sales out there going on. And ultimately, you've got to stay, again, within the guidelines of how you sell franchises. We are very focused on training, support, on how we do that for every one of our franchise partners to make sure that ultimately we're doing our job well, but we expect our franchisors to do their job well. And so when you really break it down, it really comes down to everyone doing what they should do. And ultimately, look, business ownership's not easy. Entrepreneurship's not easy. But what ultimately will get it to be successful is that people work together and meet in the middle to figure out the result in order to get to what might be a big problem, turn it into a small problem, or turn it into something that might be successful as a result of it and working together. And so I think that's what really it comes down to. Why responsible franchising is a buzzword is because we've seen some things with bad actors happening over the last 5 years that have created eyebrows to be raised, and we don't want that. So I think what we can do from our side of the fence is just do the right thing and advise our franchisors to do the right thing and show them what that means to be a good franchisor. And ultimately that will wind up everyone being better off in the franchising industry.